the network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
Welcome to ResiWeek. This is your weekly wrap-up of all the latest news and stories for the residential AV industry. I'm your host, Matt D. Scott, for AVNation.tv. Today, I'm pleased to be joined by some good friends of mine. I've got Jeremy Glowacki from Residential Systems. Jeremy, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Matt. Good to see you.
Excellent. Good to see you. Then we've got Josh Willits. Am I saying that right?
Yep, you got it.
Excellent. Josh Willits. He's the Vice President of Dealer Happiness at Portal. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for coming on. He's our token newbie this week, so we're going to be really nice. I promise.
Welcome, Josh.
Thanks.
And then we have Mitchell Klein. He's the Executive Director of the Z-Wave Alliance. How are you, sir?
Fabulous, and glad to be back and chatting with you again, Matt.
Hey, thanks for being here. Always appreciate it. All right, guys, let's kick this off with a story that comes to us from Android Headlines. It's about Foxconn. Everyone, oh goodness, I screen shared the wrong one. This is what happens when Tim's not here. There we go. All right, let's try that. That was Infinity. For all you guys that know Pro Video, that was Infinity, and that's why you never, ever do it. Foxconn, i.e. Sharp, is planning to invest $1.9 billion into an OLED plant. This came out on the 17th that they're planning to do this and produce a lot of OLED displays for mobile devices. Gentlemen, is this something that, one, do we expect to see a turnaround on this quickly? And two, does this really matter that much? Let's start with you, Jeremy.
Well, it's certainly a lot of money, but from what I read and what I understand is that it actually is putting Sharp and Foxconn at a really slow start. They're going to have to play catch up in the OLED world, and this is specifically about cell phone, mobile phone, smartphones.
Small screen.
Yeah, small screen. So they're going to have a lot of catching up to do, even with all the money spent with Samsung and LG apparently. So it is a lot of money, but I don't see it really making an impact for a couple of years. It looks like, at least, and at that point, I mean, that's like 20 years and most other lifetimes. So that's my opinion.
Definitely, Josh. With Samsung and LG taking about 10 years to actually research and bring a product to market, with them just building a plant now, just starting to build this plant, is this something where we're not going to see a feasible product from them? Keeping in mind that it is Foxconn, who is probably the leader of manufacturing over there. Is this something where we're expecting to see 10 years, or is this something where they could be faster at it?
I think they can leverage what's been done already to get some speed on, the manufacturing of these things. But I think they're saying 2017, which is pretty unrealistic. But I think even LG and Samsung kind of said at best it's going to be 2019 to 2020. So if they do a good job, I think you'll probably see it somewhere in the middle of those dates, maybe sometime in 2018. I think they're betting on a big contract with Apple. So I guess we'll see how it goes.
So Mitchell, if they're able to produce that quickly, what happens in 4 or 5 years down the road when we discover something potentially better than OLED?
First of all, I think it's going to go faster than we all think. Never underestimate the speed with which the Chinese can get something done. And the other thing is, you start looking at some of the reports that are out in terms of the entry-level phones and tablets are pretty much going away. And so this is really an indication of where the high end is headed. and you've got some small companies, I say that tongue-in-cheek, like Huawei, which has really not had much of an impact in the U.S. or the North American market. And you've seen what Samsung's been doing and some of the troubles they're having. And out of nowhere, at least for us in the U.S., is going to come Huawei. And I think that Foxconn's doing the right thing and being prepared for some new entrants in this market and definitely some upscale. And I think it's going to be a lot faster than those are predicting.
Very, very good. All right, moving on to our next story. This comes to us from CNET. And look, I screen shared properly this time. AT&T, this was all over the news this weekend. AT&T has decided and inked a deal to buy Time Warner in an $85.4 billion deal. This has kind of been, Time Warner's been in talks for a while with a couple of different people to be bought out. And last year it was rumored that they were going to be bought by someone who I'm not seeing in my notes right now. But this is a gigantic deal, half stock, half cash. But they're expecting this to be completed by the end of 2017, as long as it doesn't run into any issues. Is this going to bring, to me, this raises two major questions. Is this going to bring a better content? Is this going to bring more availability of that content? Or is it just going to bring higher prices for the consumers?
I can jump on that if you want to start. I think there are two ways to evaluate this. And first of all, I think one of the original suitors was Apple. And I know Apple was in talks with them, and I think they were just kind of kicking back and we'll wait and see. And if for some reason the deal does not go through because of regulation, you might see Apple swoop in and pick it up. So there's two things to look at. One of them is the business side of it. And actually, the deal is worth higher than that. There's another $23 billion in debt they assume as well. So it's really like 100 and some odd billion, which, guys, it's more than we all make combined in a year. A lot of money.
Well, Jeremy's here, though. So,
Yeah, take me out of the equation.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Maybe not next year.
Right, but, the question we have to ask ourselves is, why wouldn't you just do a licensing deal and instead of investing and buying? I don't know the answer to that, and bigger minds that obviously have thought that through. But from a content side, I think this is really the response, obviously not to just the increased competition in the telco and cable space, but the fact that there's an ongoing battle for where the eyeballs are going to watch the content. And this will really give AT&T a huge leg up. You've already heard about what they're doing with DirecTV in terms of enabling you to watch it on any screens within the house. And any of you that have kids know that kids aren't watching the old television set itself. They're watching things on their phones, their tablets, their computers, if they even have computers anymore. And now being able to watch some of the content outside of the house, and maybe just some of the big folks at AT&T wanted to go on set and watch shooting of Game of Thrones. I don't know, but it's interesting.
They wanted that next season early.
Yeah.
So here's a question, though, because you brought up a really good point. When it comes to content, this moves them into easily direct competition, if not greater, a greater, bigger company than Comcast even after it purchased NBC Universal. Are we to the point where we're down to essentially, AT&T and Comcast? And does it, by extension of that, does it matter at all that, from the wireless side, that AT&T used to be in, competition with Verizon heavily? Are we glossing over that now completely, now that they're a full-blown media company with DirecTV, with Time Warner?
It's pretty terrifying, but don't forget we're going to have the Trump network, so we'll have some good competition coming soon enough. Sorry, I couldn't resist.
Can I get that?
Trump network won't be on here because he's already come out and say that he would kill the deal.
Yes, he would.
Yeah, I hate to feel like agreeing with Donald Trump at anything, but my initial feeling was, oh my God, AT&T is going to take over my world. Like, I already feel like I pay most of my paycheck to that company when it comes to my wireless and my UVerse bills, And I recently tried to get out from underneath at least the wireless when I got my new iPhone, and my wife had the bright idea to call AT&T to see if they'd negotiate, because the Verizon offer was such a good one, and they did it very well. And I couldn't leave the family. I mean, it was it was like an offer I couldn't refuse, and I'm in deep with those guys. So it looks like it's just going to get there's going to get more and more control over my life.
Wasn't AT&T broken up once before?
I believe so.
Ma Bell, like the whole
Right?
way back.
It's going to happen again.
Yeah, and what was it? AOL tried to make the play originally on Time Warner. So
yeah, that didn't go out well.
I think one of the things I read in that article that was interesting is that 25% of millennials have cut the cord. They're only paying for internet and basically a Netflix. So there's a lot of millennials who also subscribe to HBO, and I think the play here, obviously for AT&T, it's no secret, but it's really on the content. So it's not just that; it's Time Warner as well. So this is going to certainly take them, maybe even leapfrog them over Comcast. So it'll kind of separate them, I think, a little bit from Verizon. So
yeah, well, I just got my Amazon Fire Stick, the brand new one, and I'll tell you, cutting the cord is tempting right now. And if it
I did it a year ago.
Where would you get all your election coverage? Come on.
Or your sports, I mean.
From Facebook. Doesn't everybody get all their election coverage from Facebook?
No, I get all my knowledge from Facebook. Everything's true. The entire Facebook. Very good. All right. Moving on. This comes to us from Residential Systems. And it's about keeping your mind open. It's from a good buddy of ours and a regular guest, actually, Todd Anthony Puma. He writes essentially a little, little informational piece almost on, he's been on the show a lot. And every time he's on, he does talk about how for his company, he maintains a very small group of suppliers and manufacturers that support, him, and he supports them by extension. But he's had a little tryout of Snap AV. And in this article, it's, he's kind of glossing over his experience with them and how they've started to pick them up as a occasional product for clients that matter. So it's a good read. Definitely check it out. But my question to you guys, and Jeremy, I might even start this off with you. For dealers, and I don't want to get stuck on the Snap AV side of it, but for dealers that are always stuck in one box, they always spec this product or this product line. How important, especially in today's market, is it for them to expand past that one product or that one product line and get into something that gives them the option of going after different levels of clients?
Well, I think it's important to be open-minded for sure. And it's also equally important to know your product line very deeply and commit your training to it. Be a solution provider for your clients, and don't try to be all things to all people, because that can get you in trouble. There are situations like he cites in the article where you go into a home with legacy product that you don't want to be that guy that says all this stuff is crap, take it out. We're not going to work with you on this because we only work with these products. So I think some of what he was talking about was having a resource to go to help him find answers to products that maybe he wasn't selling prior or servicing prior. And then, obviously new technologies come along, and Todd is, very loyal to who he's with at the time. And I don't think I'm speaking out of turn here, but he tends to try new things and get pretty enthusiastic about new things. And it's like,
no,
yeah. And I think to defend him though, sometimes it feels like he's kind of, getting caught with the breeze there a little bit, but he really is looking for the best answer for his client base and in his competitive situation that he's in. So I think he's very open-minded. I was surprised that he hadn't really given Snap AV a look and had kind of a weird impression of who they were, but I mean, that's just sort of an example of what he led in with about his bigger message about being open-minded. But I do think you need to, especially with the Internet of Things, to be able to know what's out there, what your clients are going to ask about, and be willing to at least bring something into your showroom or your design space and figure out what's good about it, to at least have an answer for your clients. Whether you commit to installing that type of product or not is another story.
Right. Now, Josh, you're from Portal. We've just started using you in our offices as well. Is this something that you, I'm not going to say that you guys track it, but is this something that you guys notice where you have dealers who are used to using, for example, extenders, and they always use key digital extenders. And because they're using Portal to source these things, when they type in, HDMI extenders, and they get a list of different products out there and obviously different price points, are you seeing dealers getting exposed to more things that, again, sometimes help them reach different solutions?
We do. Generally, the dealers are pretty good at finding products that they need to solve problems. And they can do that really without what we give them. They just do it on, a bunch of different, through some phone calls and some websites. So generally, I think dealers are pretty resourceful. It is an opportunity for vendors to be able to make sure that they're where the dealers are looking. So there's a big advantage there for them to find that stuff there. But generally, when they're using our site, dealers already know the product that they're looking for to spec on the job. So, they're grabbing it to either place the order or put it on a proposal. But certainly, they look around for some products. I mean, we don't actively track that necessarily. The data's there, and if we do anything with it, it'll be to maximize the experience for the dealer and to help them find something that they're looking for. I could talk on this subject for a long time. I go way back with Snap as a dealer. Actually, I went down and met Jay when they first got started. He ran Zobo TV and started making furniture, and that's how Snap sort of started. Plasma pop-ups, we had one in our showroom. So I like to talk about them then and where they've come till now. I think when a dealer, to jump out of your specific question and talk about the original one with Snap, I think when a dealer considers a product, any product line, or let's say a brand, they're looking at it from two perspectives. There's some advantages to sticking with a small set of brands. Number one is because of the investment, of the training investment and getting to know those products and being able to support them long-term with the client. They don't want to go into a client, sell them something they're not comfortable with because it could break or worse, anything could happen. So I think from an investment standpoint, in order to pick up a new line, there has to be a lot of check boxes to tick off for any dealer. And the second one is that they're able to leverage more buying power when it comes to getting support and getting the support that they need from the brand and from the vendor. So I think it takes a lot to add a product or a line of products. And I think he's probably one of the last dealers to sort of make the switch to really consider Snap. I mean, it's been a long time and they're pretty established now. We still talk about them sometimes like they're the new kids on the block, and generally they are, but those are my thoughts on it.
So is this where I don't mention that we still don't really sell a lot of Snap at all?
Yeah, but you're Canadian. You don't really count.
Nice. Mitchell, when looking at adding the new line, potentially a new line, should it be a balance between what the new line does for you or what doors the new line can open?
See, I take a slightly expanded view on that piece that Todd wrote.
Okay.
And I know, it's very easy to look at it and specifically address the Snap question, which, by the way, I'm a fan of theirs as well. And I've worked with them on the product side in the past, and I think they do a pretty nice job. But the real question, and I think you put it properly, is at what point do you look beyond what you're doing and where the market's going, and that, tired old phrase that I think Steve Jobs made popular that Wayne Gretzky said, right? I skate to where the puck is going. A lot of dealers are in reactionary mode, and that's probably, given the speed with which the market is moving, more importantly, the speed with which the media is driving customers to move, says you got to be a little bit more ahead of the game. And the Snap thing, that's certainly one example. And obviously, I moved on to a bit more of a cutting-edge technology platform, moving over to Z-Wave. But when you start looking at Internet of Things and some of the products coming out of there, these are things that dealers need to be looking at aggressively because their customers are already buying the stuff. They may be going out to their homes and seeing things that we didn't talk to you about a Ring doorbell or an August lock or a Z-Wave this or a dimmer or what have you. And the reason is because the stuff is priced right, it's easily accessible, and as a dealer, what are you doing in terms of making sure you're getting there before your customers do? So, like I said, I kind of look at it a little differently in terms of what Todd's writing and saying, look at it to where your customers are going and get there before they do.
Yeah, that's a very good point. All right, gentlemen, that's all the time we have this week. Thank you all so much for being here. Jeremy, where can people find and connect with you?
Well, Resi Editor on Twitter and residentialsystems.com for our website, where I'm posting a story now about that interesting outage we had on Friday. And
we need to talk about that.
Yeah, some reactions from Mr. Pedigo at Cedia and Gordon Van Zuyden from Cyberman or some others. So it's interesting perspectives that should be good to read about.
Very good. Josh, thanks for joining us for your first time. I hope you had fun and we were all very nice.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for having me. It was a good experience. Yeah, we got hit with that a little bit with our site. So our site actually stayed up. We're not using any of those services, but our chat service, which is a lifeline for many of our users and a big benefit to our site, went down because of the attack. So,
thanks.
We definitely saw it, but you can find us on portal.io.
Beautiful. Mitchell, thanks again for being here. Where can people connect with you?
Yeah, Matt's always great to do this. I'm on Twitter at Mitchell_Klein. That's Klein. And you can also get me at Mitch at zwavealliance.org, and that's z-wavealliance.org. Always a pleasure to be here. Great to work with you, Jeremy and Josh.
Likewise. Thanks, Mitch.
See you, Mitch.
Excellent. All right. Thank you again for watching and for joining us. For myself, you can find me on Twitter at Matt D. Scott and pretty much every other social platform. But most importantly, please stop by AVNation.tv. You'll find this show as well as a wide variety of other shows that cover all the other verticals that we here at AVNation cover. When you do stop by the site, please make sure you check out our list of underwriters. They support us, and we'd appreciate it if you support them. That's all the time we have for this week's episode of ResiWeek.